It's 6 o'clock on Monday, the 25th of November, 2019. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Oliver, bringing you the only daily update of the local Albanian news translated into English. Our first story of the night comes to you from the National Theatre Hall, where Prime Minister Edi Rama, in a one-man show lasting for more than 2 hours, made the special law against organized crime and terrorism public for the first time. The Prime Minister believes it is essential to engage the government in the fight against corrupt prosecutors and judges with links to organized crime and illegal activity. He even proposed an ultimatum, telling members of his party that if they do not vote for his proposal, they will be excluded from the Socialist Party parliamentary group. I demand the unconditional support of the entire parliamentary group for the special law and the package against the KÇK unconditionally. Anyone who does not vote for this package is excluded from the SP parliamentary group, said the Prime Minister. Under this administrative law, new justice bodies will investigate the violations committed by the prosecutors and judges who have not yet gone through vetting process. The government also extends its power to the state police, giving it the right to carry out preventative operations and seizures from corrupt justices. But unlike the vetting process, this law will also have penal investigations against those that have purportedly committed legal violations. Edi Rama has vowed to back the internationals for this initiative while calling the president's statements to diplomats embarrassing. According to Rama, opposition protests and clashes with the president have been the cause for his most difficult year yet as prime minister, even after 6 years in office. Next up tonight, the High Council of Prosecution has appointed the 8 prosecutors elected to the Special Anti-Corruption Prosecution by a majority of votes. Since November 25th, the 8 prosecutors who were successfully vetted, those being Altin Dumani, Arben Krahja, Behar Dibra, Edvin Kondili, Edlida Chelmani, Ened Natucci, Enkeleda Milionai, and Claudian Brajo, are now the special prosecutors of the Special Anti-Corruption Prosecution known as SPOC. But the head of the High Council of Prosecution, Gen Ibrahimi, specified that they would begin their duties as soon as they took an oath to the president, with whom they had previously agreed to organize a swearing-in ceremony on December 19th. Also at the meeting, the procedures for the election of the head of SPOC were initiated, whereas the 8 candidates will be able to express their interest within 15 days, and then based on a scoring system, the head of this structure will be elected. But during this period, the head of the High Council of Prosecution said that the HCP would deal with the administrative transfer, the transfer of files from the prosecution of serious crimes to the Special Anti-Corruption structure, the appointment of prosecutors who are not part of SPOC, and the appointment of the administration for this structure. Moving on now, in a statement to the media, Shkodra Judge Andrei Umeri spoke with journalists just 2 hours after the testimony at the Shkodra Police Department. The judge issued a response to the international burning of his private vehicle on Saturday, stating, "A judge must be prepared for everything. If I was the target, they must know they cannot put pressure on me or my duties." Details on the incident revealed that he also appeared before the investigative group overseeing the case after remaining with Shkodra police for nearly 2 hours. The only trail of evidence leading to the perpetrators resulted from the actual assault on his duties, but according to sources, Judge Umeri has been unable to direct investigators to the perpetrators. The event in question occurred around midnight, and according to security camera footage seized by the investigative team, there were 2 people seen, both dressed in black and wearing helmets. They can be seen approaching the vehicle on a motorcycle. They then doused the vehicle with gasoline and set it on fire. As a result, the judge's car was almost completely incinerated, and another vehicle also incurred damages. The scarf and motorcycle helmet make it difficult for the police to identify the perpetrators, but according to a source for RTV Ora News, investigators are now focusing on the suspect's body structure to build their identities. The burning of the car alerted the Shkodra Police Department, while Judge Umeri was witnessed at the scene both in the late evening and in the morning. Umeri has been at the center of media investigations for several years now. In 2014, he was denounced by an investigative team where he, along with the judge Ken Vima, received 2,000 euros to release a convicted prisoner. Whereas Gentian Hoja, a young man who was sentenced to 21 years in prison by the judge, accused him of that year for asking for 25,000 euros to have the case reopened. Earlier in 2009, he was charged with abuse of duty. 1 in 2 women report experiencing at least one form of violence. This comes after many other declarations by women's protection organizations who say the same thing. In the framework of the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, the Toronto prosecution organized a roundtable to bring attention to the work done by the relevant institutions and the obstacles that are supporting this phenomenon. The Toronto Chief Prosecutor, Elisabetta Marai, stated that during this year, 200 individuals were arrested and escorted for this penal offense. Despite the sharpening of measures against women, violence remains a worrying phenomenon, said Marai. Representatives of the OSCE mission in Tirana consider it a major concern. They say that this war against violence should start with the reasons that propel this phenomenon. Reports on the welfare of women and girls provide much more information on the violence against them. All the institutions should use this data to combat this phenomenon, said the OSCE representatives. The execution of the protection order was one of the main problems discussed at the meeting, with the slogan "Together Against Violence," which according to prosecutors will be difficult to implement. Lack of centers for the rehabilitation of women and girls is another problem in Albania. At the end of the meeting, prosecutors and members of civil society called for the cooperation of all structures to raise awareness of this phenomenon. Unemployment in the capital remains a worrying problem. According to Instat data, Tirana is one of the 4 regions with the highest unemployment rates above the country's average. Durrës, Tirana, Leja, and Vlora are considered the regions with the lowest employment rates below the national average. 2018, according to the Regional Statistical Yearbook for Municipalities, there were around 547,000 unemployed people in Albania, equal to 12.3% of the total labor force. These figures represent a significant decrease in unemployment compared to 3 years ago, when the unemployment rate was 15.2%. Nevertheless, for Tirana, unemployment remains a problem. The lowest unemployment rate was concentrated in Dibra and Korça at 5.9%, while the highest was registered in Vlora. There, data shows that 1 in 5 people are considered unemployed. Tirana is the region with the highest percentage of employment in services and the lowest percentage of employment in agriculture. Gender analysis shows that the region with the highest level of unemployment for women is Vlora, with 26.2%, which to a large extent affects the overall unemployment rate in the region and in the country. Moreover, the highest unemployment rate for males is registered in Leja, where 20.5% of those who fit this demographic remain unemployed. And finally tonight, while stressing that Albania's path forward lies with strengthening ties with the European Union, Acting Foreign Minister Gent Sakai expressed his view that the European Union does not replace the need to deepen cooperation among the Western Balkan countries. At a nationwide conference on the role of Albania in promoting Albanian national interests in the Western Balkans, Sakai emphasized the cooperation between neighboring Kosovo and Albania. Kosovo's Foreign Minister, Beget Patsoli, mentioned the risk from international and external actors while considering cooperation with Albania essential. Present at the conference were senior political representatives from the countries of the region who emphasized the creation of joint platforms of action and the coordination of political positions for the affirmation of national rights. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you so much for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and have a good night.